Hi, and welcome to Biopilates Deep Dive. In today's episode, I would like to guide you through an in-depth and vividly embodied exploration of an exercise that, when understood in its structure, truly transforms the way we relate to our shoulder. Back rowing, and more specifically its preparation, reverse or plow, on the reformer. We will dive together into biomechanics, breathing, scapular stability, the role of the posterior deltoid and the latissimus dorsi, as well as the internal organization that allows this movement to remain fluid, stable, and protective. Take a moment to settle in, relax your shoulders, lengthen your spine, and let this exploration become a full body experience. We begin. When approaching this exercise, it is essential to remember that the entire movement takes place in the sagittal plane, the plane that divides the body into right and left halves. The gesture occurs around a frontal axis, a horizontal axis that runs from one shoulder to the other, and around which the humerus performs its extension and flexion. The movement is therefore extremely pure, very direct, and leaves almost no room for compensations. It is the glenohumeral joint, this spheroidal joint between the head of the humerus and the glenoid cavity of the scapula, that manages most of the motion. And because it is the most mobile joint in the human body, it is also one of the most sensitive to imbalance. Even before the movement begins, a large part of the work is already happening. The seated position on the reformer demands true postural presence. The legs are extended or crossed, the pelvis rests in neutral, the spine lengthens without tension, and the sacrum finds its axis. At this moment, the deep core muscles come into action. The transverse abdominis wraps the abdominal wall. The multifidi stabilize the lumbar segments, and the pelvic floor supports the center. You might think nothing has begun yet, but it is precisely during these first seconds that everything is being organized. The arms rest alongside the body, the wrists lengthen, the fingers stretch without gripping, and the elbows stay unlocked. The scapulae become the true platform of the movement. They must neither collapse nor freeze. They stabilize gently in this dynamic stability unique to Pilates, where retraction and depression are present but never forced. The middle and lower trapezius, the rhomboids, and the serratus anterior collaborate to offer the humerus a living, stable, yet mobile platform. Breathing plays a fundamental role here. On the inhale, the rib cage opens in 3 dimensions. The spine gains length and tension distributes evenly. On the exhale, the transverse muscles tighten. Internal pressures stabilize and the pelvis anchors down. Breathing does not simply accompany the movement, it structures it. And it is precisely on this exhale that the movement begins. The hands move slowly downward and backward. The humerus then enters a controlled extension. To situate the movement anatomically, the glenohumeral joint has a physiological maximum extension of about 50 to 60 degrees. This range exists, but in reverse T plow, it is never the goal. If we try to reach it, the body compensates, the thorax moves forward, the spine arches, and the scapula protracts or tilts. What we seek here is clean, precise, stable extension. During this extension, the posterior deltoid reveals its full importance. This discrete muscle, attached to the spine of the scapula and inserted on the deltoid tuberosity, is innervated by the axillary nerve, which gives it remarkable finesse in controlling the humerus. Its role is not limited to pulling the arm backward. Its essential mission is to keep the humeral head centered in the glenoid and prevent anterior translation. When the humerus extends, the humeral head naturally attempts to slide forward. If the posterior deltoid is not activated with precision, the joint decentrates, the anterior capsule is stressed, and the entire movement loses coherence. Next to it, the latissimus dorsi plays a very different role. This large, powerful muscle anchored deeply in the thoracolumbar fascia, the spine and the pelvis, provides propulsion, extension, and adduction. Its innervation by the thoracodorsal nerve allows it to work with strength and continuity, but this power must be modulated. An overly dominant latissimus dorsi leads to excessive internal rotation and disrupts the precision of the humerus. This is why reverse or plow is never a brute force exercise. It is an exercise in coordination where each muscle must find its rightful place. When the arms return forward, the eccentric phase begins. This phase is absolutely decisive. In the eccentric, the muscles work to slow down rather than to pull, and it is in this deceleration that the quality of the movement is truly revealed. The posterior deltoid slows the humeral head, the latissimus dorsi modulates its traction, and the scapulae guide the return without collapsing. The movement must remain fluid, centered, controlled. Throughout this exercise, the scapula plays the role of the guardian. It does not simply move. It actively accompanies the humerus to maintain a precise axis. If it becomes rigid, it blocks shoulder mobility. If it becomes too loose, it allows the humerus to decenter. It must therefore find this subtle balance where it stabilizes without freezing and guides without dominating. Breathing once again supports this balance. With every exhale, the transverse muscles wrap inward, internal pressures recenter, the spine aligns, and the entire upper body gains coherence. Breathing becomes a deep stabilizer, a tool of precision, an internal structure on which the shoulder can rely. The reformer setup also plays a part in the quality of the movement. A stopper in position 2 slows the carriage, making eccentric control easier. Shorten straps, refine the arm trajectory. Foam handles reduce forearm load and improve trunk connection. These details, though small, change the way the movement is perceived and executed. Now imagine reverse plow in your own body. Feel your pelvis grounded, your spine long, your scapulae stable yet mobile. Inhale to create space. Exhale to organize the gesture. Allow the humerus to extend gently in the sagittal plane around the frontal axis, supported by your breath and your deep core stability. Feel the posterior deltoid guiding the trajectory, the latissimus dorsi accompanying the movement, and the scapula providing precise support. Then return with the same awareness, the same mastery, the same internal coherence. Back rowing is not an isolated exercise. It invites you to organize the entire upper body, create a conscious relationship between the humerus and the glenoid, coordinate the scapula and the thorax, pair breathing with stability, and allow strength and precision to work together. With repetition, you learn to mobilize the shoulder without overloading it, stabilize without tension, generate strength without harshness, and allow breathing to structure every phase of the movement. This approach gradually transforms posture, improves shoulder function, and strengthens the coherence of the entire upper body. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Biopilates Deep Dive. If this episode brought you clarity or a new understanding of movement, feel free to subscribe on Ausha, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite listening platform. Thank you for your presence and see you very soon to continue exploring together the precision, coherence, and beauty of conscious movement.